You've found the next chapter of The Iron Rebel, a military sci-fi saga of war, exile, and political deception. If that sounds like your kind of story, hit subscribe and give this video a like. It helps the story reach new rebels like you. Chapter 14. The Dawn of Rebellion. The bridge didn't hum, it growled. A low, feral thrum that pulsed beneath the deck plates, like something alive, like a beast that had been chained too long and learned patience the hard way. The Eclipse wasn't born in a shipyard. It had been scraped together in the shadows between forgotten refueling stations and salvage yards that never asked questions. Half Zarath skimmer, half Confederation courier, all vengeance. Its hull was pitted and patched, its systems cobbled from whatever still sparked to life. The consoles flickered in mismatched fonts. One screen still booted in old military protocol. Another in minor code. The chair bolted to the nav station was at least 3 models too old for its harness. But it flew. At the center of the bridge stood Marcius Kane, arms crossed, jaw locked, his gaze fixed on the map bleeding cobalt light across the stale recycled air. The border systems glowed like open wounds, pulsing slow and sickly. Not battle scars, not yet. Just soft bruises on a body that hadn't realized how deep the damage went. Each node was a choice. Each route a test. This wasn't war. Not yet. This was something slower. Surgical. Something meant to leave a mark that wouldn't heal clean. Near the port bulkhead, Taran Dralith leaned against the wall like it had personally insulted him. One boot braced against the steel, arms folded across the broad rise of his chest. The shadows caught on the ridges of his face, cutting it into something sharper than memory. He didn't fidget. Didn't pace. Just waited. Watchful. Quiet. The air between him and Kane still held the ghosts of their first encounters, but the heat had bled out of it. What remained was cooler. Heavier. Trust, maybe, not the kind you named. The kind that calcified in the silence between blows. Kane tapped the map. A node flared along the rim, blinking slow and steady like a heartbeat on the edge of failure. "We hit Haralon first," he said. The words came low, like gravel packed into a single breath. "Supply depot. Light defense grid. But it's the lifeline for 3 systems. Cut it off, and the forward stations run dry." Dralith raised a brow but didn't move. "You starting a war with bread lines now?" "It's not just bread," Kane answered, eyes never leaving the map. "It's fuel. Comms. Ration cycles. Haralon's the illusion of control. Break it, and we don't need to conquer anything. We just have to make them believe it's possible." The pause that followed was short, but it held weight. Dralith chewed the idea without speaking, shoulders coiled in thought. "They'll hit back," he said finally. "Hard. Cut off their arteries, and they'll send ships. A lot of ships." "We don't give them time to aim," Kane said. His hand moved across the map, drawing invisible lines that blinked red in sequence. Haralon, then the relay post at Etris 5, then the fuel processor at Junction 12. "We strike, then move. Hit the second site before they finish triage on the first. Make them scramble. Make them chase." Dralith pushed off the wall and stepped forward, the deck groaning faintly beneath his weight. His shadow swept across the map like a storm front. "So we disappear," he said. "Turn ourselves into rumors and burn every trace we leave behind. And if they catch us mid-jump—" Kane looked up at last. "They won't." The answer didn't carry bravado. Just certainty. The kind that didn't invite argument because it had already done the math. Dralith gave a soft exhale that might have passed for a laugh. "And here I thought I was the reckless one." "You are," Kane said. And though his face barely moved, something passed through it, a flicker, small and unfamiliar. Almost a smile. "But maybe you're learning to like company." Their eyes met across the light of coming violence. No grin. No nod. Just steel recognizing steel. Not allies, not quite. But no longer opponents. Not friendship. Something harder. Something ready. Harlan looked small on the map. Just one blinking node in a field of targets, pulsing gently like it hadn't realized it was already marked for ruin. But when Eclipse dropped out of FTL, the illusion split. The planet filled the viewport like an old wound. Defense rings jagged and overextended, industrial towers clawing skyward, surrounded by orbital arrays that looked more like rib cages than infrastructure. From afar, Harlan was logistics. Up close, it was anatomy. And Kane had come to collapse it. Eclipse led the formation, its hull still scarred from retrofits, flanked by two repurposed Zarath skimmers, welded together with defiance and burn scars. Behind them trailed Grinner, a gunship that flew like a curse and looked like a scrapyard with ambition. Its engines ran quiet until they didn't, then they screamed. Harlan's defenses matched the projections. 2 orbital cannons, their targeting software wheezing through outdated logic trees, a drift of patrol drones, and 1 perimeter frigate that booted too late to matter. Eclipse caught it mid-pivot with a clean burst across the keel. The hull split open like paper in vacuum, venting everything it couldn't hold. On the command deck, the battle unfolded in color, red for threat, green for progress, gold for anomalies. Kane stood at the center, still and sharp, the way a blade waits to be drawn. He watched, measured, and when the lines shifted, he gave the order without theatrics. "Boarding crews, move." Minimal bloodshed. "We're here to take, not torch." Behind him, Dralith's eyebrow ticked upward. He didn't speak, but the smirk was audible in the way he reached for the comm. "You heard the man," he said, the gravel in his voice unshaken. "Clean and quick. Take it like professionals. And if you get bored, don't. No poetry. Just clarity." And it worked. Minutes later, the depot was theirs. Not scorched. Not shattered. Just taken, quietly, completely. The green indicators crawled across the screen like vines through stone. Hallways secured. Docks locked. Power rerouted. Harlan wasn't just a victory. It was a message. And everyone watching would understand it. The broadcast came next. No anthem. No emblem. Just static, then a feed hijacked through a cracked surveillance camera. Kane stood against a wall of oxidized alloy, backlit by the faint flicker of old lights. He wore no insignia. No medals. Just the black coat dusted in the carbon of the corridors they'd taken. He said nothing at first. Just stood there, the silence longer than it needed to be, long enough for the silence itself to speak. "This is Marcius Kane," he said, voice unhurried, unraised. "I speak not as a general, not as a deserter. I speak as a man who has watched the center rot while the edges starve." He didn't blink. Didn't shift. The feed wavered, the frame catching on flickers of interference, but the image held. "You called it peace," he said. "It was compliance. You called it unity. It was fear. You called it sacrifice, but only from the people furthest from your palaces." He stepped closer, and the lens tightened without zoom. His face filled the frame, lined, weathered, deliberate. "I will not fight for a confederation that feeds its strength with the bones of the forgotten. I will not serve a machine that erases those who carried it." Another breath. Another silence. Not a pause for drama, but for consequence. "To those still loyal to the old order, walk away, before it buries you with it. To the rest?" He let it hang. "Pick up a tool. Pick up a weapon. Pick up your voice. Because rebellion isn't coming. It's already here." Then the screen went dark. No emblem followed. No rallying cry. Just the kind of quiet that stays long after the echo has faded. Later, the hum of Eclipse settled back into its bones. The deck lights dimmed. The ship didn't rest, but it waited. Kane stood near the forward viewport, hands behind his back, watching the void. No stars twinkled out here. Just cold movement and the occasional flicker of debris. The glass was fogged with the fingerprints of engineers who'd kept the ship alive long past its lifespan. He hadn't wiped them away. Behind him, Dralith approached, quiet but not cautious. His steps echoed once, then stilled. "You made your speech," he said. "And nobody took a shot at you. That's something." Kane didn't turn. "They'll answer," he said softly. "Soon." Dralith's arms folded across his chest. "Then we make the time count." They stood like that for a moment, two men in the aftermath of noise. Somewhere between exhale and what comes after. "You believe in this?" Dralith said finally. "Not revenge. Not glory. Just the idea of something better." Kane's answer was quiet. "It's not belief, it's necessity. Still dangerous. Most truths are." The silence returned, but this time it wasn't a burden. It was something to stand on, to plan from. Outside, the stars drifted past, unconcerned. But now something moved among them, fast, silent, uninvited. Not a fleet. Not yet. Just a reckoning, freshly lit and already on fire. This chapter of the Iron Rebel comes to a close, but the war is far from over. If the story spoke to you, leave a like. It fuels the rebellion. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. New episodes drop every week. Until next time, stay sharp, stay defiant.